with you the story of the day that I quit Adderall. So I'm gonna take you back there. We're gonna go there. We're gonna talk about Adderall. And this is my personal story and my own journey. I'm not saying this to tell you that you need to quit Adderall or anything like that. I just want to share my truth and my story. And if you resonate, I know there's a lot of people that resonate with Adderall addiction, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to go there because I think it's a very, very important topic to talk about. So when I was in college, I got a study pill from a friend, and that led me on this journey of addiction with Adderall. It was the easiest thing. I self-diagnosed myself with ADHD, went to a psychiatrist, kept on upping my dosage until I got 60 milligrams of instant release daily, and I was taking it every single day. It led up to that. Before I was taking it every single day, I would only take it for finals, then it became midterms, then it became papers, then it became to clean the house. And before I knew it, I couldn't get out of bed without it. And I remember I would cut my pills in half to try and make it last longer and not have to take so much. But it stopped working as efficiently because I started taking it every single day. And the most I ever took in a 24-hour period was 180, I believe around 180 milligrams of instant release within 24 hours. So my body was fully addicted to this stuff. And I graduated college, got into my corporate job, was kicking ass in my corporate job, doing really, really well, taking a ton of Adderall every single day. I remember feeling like, is this it? This is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life? I'm gonna have to have this, my Adderall prescription in my purse because I couldn't go anywhere without it. I felt like, wow, I'm always gonna have to have this prescription and always have to go to the pharmacy for the rest of my life, just to function like a normal person. I remember not being very happy in my corporate job, not being very fulfilled, and I didn't know what to do. Didn't know where to go. And one of the things that I realized, I don't know what the next step for me is, but I felt like one of the first things that I needed to do was I needed to get clean. I needed to get off the Adderall because I felt like if I got off the Adderall, then maybe I would be able to get clarity on what I actually wanted to do with my life. Because the addiction was so strong. It was I couldn't literally, you guys, I could not get out of bed without taking Adderall. My body was so addicted and so accustomed to it. And then not only that, but I had an eating disorder as well. And that's a whole nother story. And the Adderall, because it curbs your appetite, it helped me manage my eating disorder. I was terrified that once I stopped taking the Adderall, I would spiral out of control. I wouldn't be able to function. I wouldn't be a high performer at work anymore. I would gain all this weight, and I wouldn't know who I was because I took it every single day for the last 6 years of my life. And I remember going in and out of therapy trying to get off Adderall. And at this time, this was 6 years ago that I've been off of it. No one specialized in Adderall. No one talked about it. I remember even Googling negative side effects of Adderall, long term. There was nothing on the internet about it. There was no bad side effects about it. I couldn't find any resources about trying to get off of it. And mind you, I'm very aware that there are people that genuinely need it, that have ADD or ADHD that genuinely need it. I do think it's one of those things that is overprescribed and easily given a prescription. I got my Adderall freaking candy at a candy shop. It was the easiest thing ever. So meanwhile, I'm going in and out of therapy and trying to get off this Adderall. People, therapists are telling me, why don't you just wean yourself off of it? I'm like, okay, I'll try that. So I would go a few days without taking it, get zero work done, not be productive at all, then have a deadline at work, and then binge on my Adderall, pull an all-nighter, get all my work done, meet my deadline. And I was just like, this does not seem to be working. This cannot be the pattern where I just don't take Adderall for 4 days and then take a ton within 24 hours to meet a deadline. That's not gonna work for me. And I was desperate to get off of this because I just felt like I was a prisoner to this drug. And the addiction was real. The mental addiction, the physical addiction, all of it was real. And in my midst of trying to find a solution, I stumbled across a blog post that looked like a Craigslist blog, honestly. I think it was called quittingadderall.com. I don't even know if it still exists. But it was about this guy who was blogging his journey about quitting Adderall. And this moment, what I read seared into my brain. He wrote about Adderall being that crutch, that thing that you depend on when you feel like you can't focus on a subject or you can't get work done. And the reason why you can't focus on that subject or you can't get that work done is because when you're passionate about something, that passion will fuel your focus and your work. But when you're doing work that you don't love, that you're not passionate about, it's really hard to focus. It's really hard to give a shit about it. And Adderall is kind of like the little candy that makes you feel like a superhero, makes you feel like you can get anything done and you can do all of this work on subjects and on things that you don't actually care about. And that was just like a dagger in my heart. It hit me so hard because it made me realize that nothing that I was doing in college, nothing that I was studying in college, nothing that I was doing in my corporate world, I had any passion for. I was doing it because that's what I thought you had to do. Go to school, you get a finance degree or a business degree, you go into the corporate world, and then you climb the corporate ladder. And Adderall was really just fueling that. It was like that artificial passion. Like, it made me feel like I cared about this stuff, but when I didn't have the Adderall, I didn't give a shit. And that was like, whoa. And it was that day that I decided to quit. I said, I'm done. I'm quitting. And I came home, and I threw all my pills away, and I told my boyfriend, I'm quitting. I'm going cold turkey. I'm getting off of this stuff. I'm not taking Adderall anymore. That proceeded to be one of the hardest weeks of my entire life. I missed my first deadline at work that I've never missed. I've always been a high performer, but the combination of not being able to focus with the combination of a lot of like technical things and errors and crashes in my computer, I lost a lot of work and I missed a deadline. I had to tell my boss I wasn't gonna be able to give this presentation that day, and that was a really hard thing. I had a mental breakdown. I remember coming home crying on like day 4, telling my boyfriend like, I don't think I can do this. I was getting my hair done actually after work, and I was telling my boyfriend, he checked in, he said, how are you doing? And I said, I don't think I can do this. I said, I don't think I'm strong enough. Like, I don't think I can do this. And he sent me the most loving message, and he said, all of that knowledge that you have about your work and what you do, that's all still in you. The Adderall does not define you. The Adderall is not your brain. Like, you are fully capable of performing and doing everything that you've been doing without the Adderall. Like, it's like not like you're gonna lose all your knowledge. Because I felt like I was dumb. Like, I felt like I was gonna lose everything that I ever learned because I wasn't taking the Adderall. And I remember coming home from the hair appointment, still just like a basket case, feeling like I don't think I can do this, that I'll never be the same, that I'll never be able to function at a high performing level ever again. And he cleaned the whole house, he vacuumed, he lit a candle, and he just hugged me. He just gave me a hug, and he told me everything's gonna be okay. That was enough. Like, that support system was so important for me. Like, so if you don't have a support system, finding that support system, you guys, is so important. Because I felt like when there's no one, if there was no one that I could turn to, like, I felt like I wouldn't be able to get through it. And I want you to know, like, if you don't have a support system, send me a message. Send me a freaking message. It's hard to see my messages on some platforms, but on Instagram or email, like, I see those messages a lot more. So send me a message. I am here for you. I want you to know that, because Adderall is one hell of a freaking drug. And I want you to know you're not alone. Like, if you are struggling getting off of this thing, if you've had constant failures getting on and off, I was going on and off of this drug for a whole year. For a whole freaking year, in and out of therapy, going a couple weeks and then binging again. Like, it was a uphill battle that I felt like I would never get over. But as someone who's been off of it for 6 years, I want you to know there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And this struggle is your strength. And I want you to know how freaking strong you are, because while I don't wish that experience on anyone, if you're in it, if you're in the weeds of it, I want you to know that you're so much stronger than you think you are. And that it's all in there, and that if you're struggling going through it, you're not alone. You're absolutely not alone. And so I want to give you some resources that I'm going to link in my bio or in my description of my YouTube channel, wherever you're watching this. Find my link And I'm gonna link it, and I'll share my podcast episodes on Adderall. I shared my whole story in depth from start to finish on Adderall. I've also interviewed 2 people who are off of Adderall and who have dedicated their lives and their careers to helping people get off Adderall. Like, they're pretty amazing women. So I'm gonna link those podcasts because they share so many amazing tips on Adderall and getting off of it, and how it affects your gut, and the protocols and the health protocols of getting off of Adderall. So I'm going to share that with you as well. And I just want you guys to know that you're not alone. And if you're struggling, you're not alone. And just know that there is a light, there is hope. As someone who thought that I could never function ever again without it, I want you to know that you can. And that I haven't craved it. Like, I haven't wanted to go back. I haven't wanted to take Adderall. It's not something that I desire. It's like feels like an old past life of mine that I've evolved from. So I wanted to share that story with you guys because I feel like I don't see it talked about enough. And I know that there's a lot of people struggling with it. If you resonated with this at all, or share it with a friend. Like, please share this, get the message out. I want people to know that they're not alone. I want people to know that everyone is like suffering in silence and you don't need to be. Okay? I love you guys.